Hey guys, DF here. Third review, let's go! From developer studio Hoopu Games comes the next installment to the Risk of Rain series number 2, and this time they're transitioning from 2D to full-on 3D. Keeping the main features that made the first popular and improving it in the sequel as a roguelike third-person shooter. As with any change from 2D to 3D, I was a bit skeptical whether the second game could improve on the original game enough to exceed my expectations, and most importantly, is it better and more fun? Let's get started with the gameplay. The sequel is primarily the same as the previous game, with you having to survive multiple levels as the difficulty rises. Players familiar with the old game will instantly recognize old favorites like the Commando class, and familiar items like crowbars, teddy bears, teleporters, shrines, familiar bosses, and etc. It's that old but new feeling you get when you start up a new game in a sequel, and the game delivers on this point pretty well to ease returning players. For newcomers, the user face and quick-to-action gameplay make it smooth to understand tutorials and what you need to do. To win and survive, you have to keep on moving and progressively become stronger as the seconds and minutes pass, since the difficulty will continually rise as you continue to play. Since you're stranded on an alien planet, you have to survive through various alien levels by going through teleporters until you reach the final boss and beat him to win. The difficulty is dependent on what mode you play. Easy is called Drizzle, Normal is called Rainstorm, and Hard is Monsoon. Playing on easy difficulty will give players more breathing room to explore levels while making the bar that increases difficulty move at a slow pace. Normal has the bar moving at a normal rate and is the intended way to play the game, but there is no shame in playing on easy. Hard is hard, and I'm not touching that difficulty mode at all. I primarily played on normal difficulty for some runs, then went back to Drizzle once I finished a run to see the difference. I much prefer playing on Drizzle mode, but I think playing on Rainstorm is fine for newcomers or returning Risk of Rain players. It should be noted, as a roguelike, it stays very true to the name. If you die at any time, you have to restart from the beginning. But this isn't all bad, honestly, since runs can go from anywhere from 10 to 25 minutes on average for me. Depending on how thorough you are in exploring to gain more power-ups from chests, or gamble with a Shrine of Chance to drop some items to make your survivor stronger. And if you mod the game, there is a balanced respawn mechanic to revive yourself only when you play with others cooperatively. Risk of Rain 2 doesn't shy away from adding new tricks to the 3D transition. Players need to keep in mind not just in front of them, but also what's happening behind them since we've transitioned into full 3D. Moving and actions flow much better here than in the previous game due to more freedom of movement versus a limited 2D platformer in the previous game. The ability to move fast, traverse arduous or not arduous terrain, and attain higher movement or attack speed is a godsend. I couldn't get enough of jumping and evading enemies quickly. Super love how you can build your survivor in different ways to become a tank or as someone who deals a lot of damage. If you want to run quickly and jump very high, you can do so. As you get more familiar with the game and items, you will know the tricks and shortcuts to get more powerful quickly and become more accustomed to building a preferred playstyle. You don't unlock all the survivors from the get-go. You start with a small pool like Commando and Huntress. You need to play more in the game to unlock more survivors. Some are simple and require you to beat the game. Others accumulate as you go on more runs, like completing 30 stages, getting to the third teleporter event without dying, and more. And then there are more unique requirements to unlock survivors, which make it sound like a secret side quest to do while in-game. I didn't mind the mechanic unlocking each new survivor since they all differed in their requirements, and that made it fun to do as I tried to complete a run. I tried different survivors throughout my failed and successful runs. Some I found were in line with my playstyle of running, shooting, and evading, while other characters can be slow but built like a tank so you can withstand a lot of hits. Another can stay stationary and support themselves with turrets and a pretty wicked shield. Huntress, one of the starting classes, has an innate blink ability she can use to evade foes or blink to hard to reach places. Experiment and try out each survivor to see which one is right for you. Sometimes it can take a run or more to get used to a new survivor, so don't throw in the towel early on. I didn't like one character's skill set for quite a bit until several runs into the game using that survivor did I realize their potential. It was a thrilling experience and the irony of disliking them was not lost on me. The game is playable from start to end and in co-op multiplayer, so you don't have to be alone in this endeavor to finish runs. Heck, the game is so robust some mods add quality of life improvements to the game. I only added these once I finished a run on normal. Like more survivors to choose from, and even expansions like Starstorm 2, which is a mod pack containing new survivors, new items, and other additions to spice up the game. There is no shortage of things you can do in Risk of Rain 2, and likewise, there are modifiers here to change up the gameplay. For example, completing trials. One trial upon completion gives you the option to activate an artifact of command. So instead of random items you can get from chests, you can now pick any item you want. If you want more deadly chaos in co-op with a partner, activate the Artifact of Chaos for enabled friendly fire and let your bonds of friendship quickly evaporate as you betray your friend or vice versa. Oof! However, there are 16 artifacts to get, which is a lot. I feel earning these artifacts to be a dull affair, if grabbing them consecutively. You have to input a different code each time to transport into a different area that always stays the same in the environment. Conditions change of course since you're undertaking the trial for an artifact. But the fact you have to go back again and again to this dull place makes it hard to keep your interest. I feel the developers could have made 16 different environments instead to give players more eye candy instead of going back to the same old place with new conditions depending on which artifact they activate. More than 2 years have passed since Risk of Rain 2 came out of early access, and I am very glad to report over my 37 plus hours with the game, I cannot remember a single instance of it bugging me or crashing back to my desktop. The game felt very smooth to play, and I didn't encounter any glitches or problems when I played solo or in co-op. I will, however, recommend adding in some user tweaks to get to the main menu quickly. If you go to the PC Gaming Wiki Risk of Rain 2 website, I'll drop a link in the description. It'll instruct you how to remove the intro movies. This will allow players to jump to the main menu as fast as possible. Aside from the artifact trials, I don't have anything left to critique. The game performed as expected, and I was pleasantly surprised to see how they managed to solve one of my main issues from the previous game. In regards to randomized teleporter location within a map versus grinding can be a bit imbalanced. Here I didn't see the issue. Sure, the teleporter location is randomized, but the grind is much more manageable here on both normal and easy difficulty. Risk of Rain 2 is a fantastic sequel where you can lose countless hours thinking you can beat the game in one run, when in reality you've already tried to, and now you're just trying to convince yourself you can do it. You don't need to play the previous game at all, and I believe it's very forgiving even on normal to easy difficulties. If you're looking for a third-person shooter roguelike to have fun with buddies or alone, I think Risk of Rain 2 is an excellent entry point into roguelikes. Just be careful getting the Artifact of Chaos and accidentally killing your buddy in the crossfire. Hope your friendship stays intact after that. Thanks everyone for listening, really appreciate it. I think I'm getting the hang of making video game reviews? Well, maybe. So sit tight and take care, guys.